Hello there. I'm James from Master Concept, and I'm here today to show you a demonstration of Mixpanel in regards to e-commerce. So typically, Mixpanel is used for mobile applications, and think about it almost like a Uber and Foodpanda or whatever other apps are common in your country to use it for. So you think about product managers and analyzing user behavior on mobile apps. But in actuality, Mixpanel is a really powerful analytics tool in general. I highly recommend it, usually over Google Analytics. And it's not, in a sense, to compare with GA, which is Google Analytics, as apples to apples. GA is really good for Google products like Google Ads and Google Search Console integration. But when it comes to deeper analysis and understanding your user behavior better, Mixpanel, by far, from my experience, is the best in the market right now, especially, and given the price and just ease of use and the power in combination, it's just mind-blowing. So just kind of showing a very simple demonstration of an e-commerce use case, and this is actually using the e-commerce demo project environment, or you can call it data set, which is available to everybody. So if you just log in or sign up for an account, you can start to access and use these demo data sets for examples. What I'm starting here with is a basic interface, blank report, and Mixpanel is a self-serving analytics tool. So that means you kind of create the reports yourself. There is no pre-built reports like you have in GA. Whether or not they add that eventually, maybe, but at the end of the day, the events you're tracking are pretty much all custom. So all these events are actually installed in the website or application, and you're tracking these. So in general, I'm just going through a few different reports that I would recommend and kind of give some inspiration and maybe even just some confidence in people who are looking for an analytics tool for e-commerce purposes. But again, this usually is going to be used for a wide array of solutions. It could be finance, it could be SaaS, media, social, as well as general applications. But for e-commerce, because it's pretty close to my heart, I really enjoy e-commerce. A lot of my clients are e-commerce. This is where I really kind of focus my time. So, cool. Well, let's start with the basic report here, and this is Insights report. So looking at the events and cohort analysis here, usually I would start with any e-commerce project with the most straightforward event, which is completing a purchase. Of course, there's a bunch of other ones here as well, like browse, joining a loyalty program, add to cart, etc. But in this case, purchase complete event. I can now see it over time. This is over the 30-day period. I can change my time window to whatever I want. I can do 3 months, 6 months, 2 months, 12 months, even custom range. You got it, right? So very straightforward. I can also compare this event to the previous time periods. So like previous month, for example. So now I'm analyzing each data point in comparison to the previous month, right? So February, January. Then you got January to December, right? I could do different time periods here too. So it's probably quarter. If it's 3 months, I would do quarter to quarter. So you can see some comparison here. And as you already noticed as well, this graph changed when I changed from 30 days to 3 months. You can see here how the granularity changed to month instead of day. I can go back to day if I wanted to and just look at it day by day and analyze it that way. I can also change the graph type as well. Very straightforward. Stacked bar or stacked line is actually, it's more visually different. Usually better if you have multiple breakdowns. But got the point. So there's also a bar chart. Very straightforward. And as you can tell, this number here is a summation. So it's over the entire 3-month period. Instead of every day, it's going to be total for the 3 months. Again, you also have stacked bar. The stacked is usually used for breakdowns, which I'll show you in a sec. You also got a pie chart as well, which again is also used for breakdowns too. Table, usually useful for more complex breakdowns that have a lot of rows, as well as metric. Now, if you're looking at this and maybe have experienced other BI tools, you can call it, like Looker. I actually would draw a comparison with this in Looker usually. I actually really enjoy Looker, but I would say Mixpanel from a user-friendly standpoint, as well as overall speed, it's just quite amazing. So I'll just go back to the bar chart, which is actually my favorite. So at the bar chart, got rid of the comparison period, 3 months, complete purchase. Now I can play around a bit more. So I have the total complete purchase. You can see here, the way I'm counting is total. That is 576,000. So that's how many orders there were in the last 3 months. I can actually change this. I can do uniques. So that's unique customers. So it only counts once per customer. And again, the windowing is this period here. So I can change the window as much as I want. I can do it to a specific month. So I can take the previous month, for example. I think this demo data set is only for 2020. Whatever, I can just take February, for example. Cool. I can also count things that are a little bit more complex, and traditionally, if using SQL or other queries, even Excel, this is awesome. This is quite amazing. So by default, I can start looking at total per user. So this is total complete purchases per user. So average number of orders per user in a month of February. Again, I could put 3 months instead. So now I'm saying, what's the average orders per user in a 3-month period? How about a 6-month period? How about a 12-month period? Great. Now I can do things like distribution, which again is my favorite. So these two are my favorite combinations typically. So I want to see a distribution of the number of orders over a 12-month period. I can also customize this range as well. And let me do an interval size of 10, and the maximum here will be, say, 50. Wow, nice. So you can kind of see some distribution here. Maybe I want to dive deeper into this and not make it 10 steps per interval. Maybe I want to make it 2, etc. Distribution is quite nice. I can also look at my power, core, and casual users. If you don't already know what a casual, core, and power user is, it's actually pretty straightforward. Typically, the rule of thumb would be power customer or power user is a 90th percentile. So those who complete purchase a number of times, the top 90 percentile, are going to be your power customers. So I can define this as 10 within a year. The median will be my core. So this is my core customer group. So 4 in a year. And my 20th percentile is my casuals. So my casuals place an order 2 times in a year. You can kind of see how it's kind of logarithmic here in a sense, because you had 2, 4, and 10. It's kind of how it works, maybe. And then you have also minimum and maximum. So you want to see, okay, what's the lowest number going to be 1? Maximum is going to be 351. So that's pretty obscene. But you actually would see this in a real use case sometimes. So some of my clients who are e-commerce would have cases where they have customers who place, in my opinion, you can call it, lack of better terms, a pretty obscene number of orders in a specific time period. But of course, this one's a bit less realistic. So that's total per user. Now I can also aggregate a property. So every event typically has a property associated to it. So this is kind of course, parameters linked to that event. So I can take the same style of aggregation. I can do so on a property instead of per user. So I can do, again, typical easy one is sum and sum cart value. So in a sense, this is like revenue over a time period. So 123 million. Yep. Over a 12-month period. So I can see revenue. And again, I can now check this revenue over a time series. Let's do quarter. And now I have a really good quarterly trajectory or view over a time series graph of my revenue. Very straightforward. I can also do things that are different as well. So I can sum numerical values, typically cart size, maybe that can be interesting, like number of items sold, for example. But in that case, I would aggregate a property, like for example, distinct count and item category, for example, so unique categories purchased. Cool. Not very many categories purchased, so that's the kind of product mix question. But this is a distinct count across all events, not per user. So if I want to do a product mix question, I would do aggregate property per user, distinct count, item category by average. So product mix is 1. Let me see my power users. Should be, oh, maybe it's just 1. That's kind of unfortunate. But get the idea here. So you can actually understand distinct count per user, item category. So that means when they purchase on my website, they're making a purchase from more than one category. That's a pretty good indication of a good product mix. If it's low, like 1, that's a bad example of a, what's an example of a bad product mix in a sense, or maybe you don't care. about product mix, but that's a good example. Again, if I also have this product category, now I'll just do average. And I want to see the product mix. Maybe it's a decent product mix. Maybe there's some people who purchase more than once, probably not. I can do a breakdown further, which I mentioned earlier, by item category to see what item categories are associated with a higher product mix. In this case, not the most useful example, but they're all distinct count of one. So people aren't buying across different categories. But in a real world use case, there's several scenarios where this would definitely be higher than one, and you kind of see products that are associated with a higher product mix. So that was properties per user. I could then change that instead of item category distinct count. I can do example sum cart value. So now what is this doing is I'm looking at the sum of the cart value per user. So I'm summing every user's cart value and then dividing by the user. Or in that case, So I'm actually doing a total sum per user and then distributing this over a series. So I can see this is the total per user, so sum. I usually mistaken that with average in this scenario, but you can kind of see here the overall sum by category. I can get rid of category, just show you overall sum. Cool. So it's the average order lifetime value, you can call it that, of my customers. If I want to see the average order value, I would do aggregate properties and average cart value distribution. Likewise, I can do, instead of that, I can do median. So the average is going to be something like 513. So that's the average order value per user over a 12-month period. Again, I can change the window to any period I wish. And the whole point here is analytics typically is kind of passive looking. So you look in your analytics, oh, I want to understand my customer base, how it was for the past year. But why these time series are like this instead of what you're used to seeing, like specific months and whatnot. In a sense, you want to track this over a time period or window, which is relevant to your business in regards to tracking. So you want to see how week over week, are you increasing the average order value per customer? Because again, one of your strategies as an e-commerce business probably is to increase the average order value of customers by recommendation systems, by feature add-ons, etc. So you want to see how this is operating and working. And likewise, I can do the same thing here and keep average here and then break it down by product category. So I can see what's the average order value by product category. And I can see entertainment is the highest one. And therefore I can kind of get a better idea what those big order value customers are buying, what they're purchasing. So I can also take item category. I can go one level further and take item name. And again, these parameters and events are being tracked either using the, say, SDK, so JavaScript events, so custom tracking, or you can also employ other custom apps. For example, Mixpanel app on Shopify is an app. A third-party developer made that, but things like that can track it for you. So now I have a better idea of what people are purchasing. Sometimes undefined is there, which means the data is not being passed. So as a demo, that might happen, but realistically, that shouldn't be there. Excellent. So I already did typically what is a very complex, not complex necessarily, but typically takes a bit of time and effort to build these reports in traditional tools. But I can just instantaneously change the windows and run some analyses on my customer base and have this report pretty much done instantaneous. Now what I can do is I can save this report, and this report can go directly to a dashboard. So I can call this average order value by product. But again, this is per customer, not in total. So I can save to a new dashboard, and here we go. Now this is a dashboard for all my team members to see. I can share this report, I can link to it, etc. So now this is the dashboard that I'm progressively building. I can add more than one report to it, and it updates in real time. So very easy to use. And that is just the insights report. I didn't really show you the other one. For example, complete order, count users by daily active users, weekly active users, monthly active users. So again, this is kind of similar to what you were doing earlier, but the DAUs, etc., is looking at the window by daily, weekly, or monthly. So DAU, as any PMs out there, product managers might know what a DAU is. It takes that window as a single day. So those people who complete an order at least once in a day are counted. If they complete an order 2 days in a row, they'll show up 2 days in a row. For example, March 19th and March 20th. If they complete an order now, or so 19th and the 20th, that'll be 2 users or 2 customers. But if it's only the 19th and not the 20th, it'll only count for the 19th. While a weekly active user would show up at least once per week. So if I place an order on March 14th, and then I place an order on the say 16th, then I show up, for example. So as you can see here, this is day by day. So actually, yeah, I place an order on the 14th and the 15th, I'm only counted once because I'm a weekly active user. It's within a 1 week time frame. But if I place an order on the 14th, and then I place an order on the 21st, I'll be counted twice. So I'll be counted for this week, and then I'll be counted for that week, for example, because the week's window keeps changing. Cool. Likewise, monthly active users is the same thing. So MAU should be higher than your WAU, and DAU likewise. And if I want to see them in comparison, I can actually add more than one event to track. So I have complete purchase, MAU. Oops, delete that by accident. I can add that back. MAU. I can add another event. I can add many different events. I can also add cohorts as well, which I'll get into in another video. But I can actually add complete purchase, count users, WAU, complete purchase, DAU. Now I'm comparing over time. This day, yeah. The rolling, or just the overall trend here in my MAU, WAU, DAU. Change the time period. And because I have DAU, I can't really change this window to a different time frame. I can get rid of DAU and show you the weeks, but you can kind of see here the trend, and maybe I want to see a stacked line graph instead. Cool. I can also see it as a relative percentage. Very neat. So you can kind of see how that's trending over time. I usually prefer absolute. And I have one more to show you, and that was just the session count. For anyone coming from Google Analytics, you probably are addicted to the idea of a session, probably use sessions too much sometimes, but here you can count the sessions by event. So the number of sessions that have this event. So as I mentioned before, it's almost like the window, but in regards to the user. So if I count uniques, that's only counting once per user. If I count total, that's counting every event. If I count sessions, that's only counting sessions. A session is a customized window. Usually it's defaulted to 30 minutes, just like it is in GA. So if I have a 30-minute window, if I have 2 orders back to back and they're different sessions, it's counted twice. If I have 2 orders within the same session, it's counted once. That's a general idea. So you have a lot of other functionalities here. I can do cohorts, I can do formulas. So if I have 2 different events here, which typically you would use in different scenarios. So you can do, for example, total sessions, complete purchase total, and for fun, just do a computation here, B divided by A. And it's a very simple formula. I can just do B divided by A, average number of orders per session. So you can see this here. So I got this number pretty much instantaneously. And not only that, but I got this number over a time series very easily. Now, that's great. It's fine and dandy. I can actually click on the graph node, for example, if I want to take a specific, say, month. Say February is a month I have in question. I can actually, well, first of all, zoom in and zoom in further if I was too high up to granularity purposes. I'll show you an example. I can just, well, if I do week, I can zoom in like that. Wow, cool. But I can also, we'll zoom back out to month. And click into here and view all the events or view the users. So again, Mixpanel is a user analytics platform, not a basic traffic one. So there's actual user identification going on here. There's names, there's email addresses. These are, of course, sample users. It wouldn't show real ones. But I can see here, these are the users that exist on that specific month with that specific event. If I added filters to the event, I say, oh, only a certain product category. This list would also be only those customers. I can actually export this list to a CSV if I really wanted to. I can also sync it with the other integrations that exist within Mixpanel, like MailChimp, Airship, etc. I can also just click on the profile and just understand that person better. See what's going on with this person's profile, what their behavior is like, what message they were sent, what their lifetime behavior is like, what's their add to cart count, abandoned cart count, etc. Cart items, all that jazz. So I can kind of analyze this user deeper, understand them better, and even analyze this user themselves over their lifetime to understand them better. What events they're doing, etc. over time. Excellent. This is very handy for customers, for example, churn customers especially, to analyze your churned customers that are still active. So some churned customers, actually a lot of the times churned customers, actually interact with your website quite often or application and are doing certain activities. They receive messages, they receive coupons, but they're not making a purchase. So you can kind of ask the question, well, why not? And then dive deeper into that customer profile. It could be one customer or several customers to understand any behavioral trends and what's going on there. This is also a useful analysis. If I go under profile analysis, I can do something similar. If I do profiles, I could do, say, breakdowns here as well. And break down by their profile properties, right? So I can break it down by their abandoned cart count, for example, which is a tracked property, again, customly implemented. And I can then see a list of the customers, proportion of customers, profiles, by abandoned cart count. And again, I can customize this range if I wanted to have a different range, but those who abandon a cart greater than 30 times, that's pretty shocking, and I want to understand who they are. I can do the same thing here and say view users, and let me offer them a special custom tailored promotion. But let me first investigate them a little bit more. Do they have any purchases in the past? Do they have any certain behavioral traits that make it worthwhile? I think I saw a complete purchase count here. So this person had 4 purchases in the past, and they have abandoned a cart several times. I also typically track the last cart abandonment is a good one to track, but also last purchase date to then understand, okay, is that person purchasing just recently and they abandoned a cart several times? Maybe I don't send them a coupon. Maybe I only send those who abandoned a cart or made a purchase a while back. I can do the same thing here as well. I can add a second breakdown and do that. It was last purchase by, let's do month. So now I'm looking at this by month. So I'm looking at greater than 30, and a lot of the people have the last purchase in March 20th. And let's just say March 20th was, say, 3 months ago, all right? It's a significant time ago, and my purchase behavior cycle typically is monthly. People want to buy from my site monthly. I sell goods that are relevant. I can then take this list in particular, and then we'll filter by this as well if I wanted to. Try that. It's pretty cool. So now I'm going to see only that list. I can get rid of the abandoned cart count if I wanted to, because now it's greater than 30 by default. Now I can actually add some further breakdowns. Also, the last purchase date is already fixed, so I can take that away. Now I can take their, say, device, iOS devices. Well, actually, not very handy. Browser, a good example, actually. So I can take it by browser to see if there's any correlations here. Okay, Chrome, undefined, unfortunately, super high, but I can take Chrome, Mozilla, Safari, for example, or City. Cool. So I can actually further filter down by that too. Let me take country, for example, and maybe I really care about customers in specific countries. United States, for example, let's add this filter. So now I'm sending only US customers. And now I can keep adding breakdowns to kind of really understand this customer segment better. I think platform was looking for earlier. Yes, platform. So I could do web, iOS, Android. Again, I would say iOS customers are pretty big spenders, but let's just say the total purchase, if I have that, total charge, And I can see that correlation here as well. Let me just take ZA so I can see the highest ones. So iOS, again, appears to be the highest one, but again, not always the case. So I can change the ranges. So I can do, the steps can be pretty large. Let me make it about 1,000. The maximum can be, let's say, 2,000. So I want to see those, actually 1,000 makes sense in this case. I want to see those with up to 1,000 and those above 1,000. So I can see here actually, so there's only 2 customers above 1,000, and that's for web and Android, which you would think iOS is higher, but we can take, for example, those 2, we would say, oh wow, those are VIPs. Or even the web and Android. I can just take those 2. So I can get rid of this platform, or I can just exclude the iOS ones. Oh, it excluded the range. So I can get rid of the, say, platform, and the iOS and Android are under the greater than 1,000. I can take those, again, filter by that, or view the users and see who they are, and offer them particularly who are the high value customers who made a purchase 3 months ago and abandoned a cart a lot of the times and have purchased over $1,000 of products. And based in the US, these 3 customers are my VIPs. I can then send them a special promotion just for them and go forward from there. Again, what I would do here is save this as a cohort, which I mentioned earlier. VIP US greater than 1,000 spent. As an example, I can then save this and then use this cohort again in my analyses. So I mentioned before within the Insights report, there was this concept of analyzing cohorts. So cool. A lot of different cohorts. I can see my cohort here, and I can see how that cohort over time trends. So I can see if it's growing or shrinking. Let me see a 12-month period and just see how they are over time. And it's been the same 3 customers over the past year. Cool. Now I can actually take this cohort and I can actually sync it to other platforms. I'll show you where you can sync it to right here. So I can send it off to messaging platforms, Google Ads, Facebook Ads for remarketing purposes or retargeting. Really good. And all these other platforms as well, like messaging platforms, or even Zendesk. But there you go. That's an example of a e-commerce, very basic use case, specifically one report pretty much with one event and what you can do with Mixpanel for e-commerce. I'll do another video, more video series actually, with some more advanced use cases with the other reports built into Mixpanel. So they have not just insights, they have flows, funnels, retention, and as well as some other interesting platforms as well, or reports, which recently got moved to a different section under apps, but I can't find it right now for some reason. The UI of Mixpanel changes sometimes, but yeah, this is actually the older UI, and the new UI, it's really quite awesome, which I can show you another time once the demo environment gets updated. But anyways, this is the demonstration purpose, and hopefully this makes sense and this is good for your e-commerce use case. Any questions, let me know in the comments. And remember, Master Concept here based in APAC. We can service customers around the globe. We are Mixpanel Gold partners, and any needs at all, make sure to reach out to us. You can email me at the email I provide down below, or email our team at digital_lab@hkmci.com. I'll put the email down below as well. All right, take care.